Te Kaha RSA in Eastern Bay of Plenty holds close the memory of Moana-Nui-a-Kiwa Ngarimu VC. People here are related to him through his mother, Maraea Akuhata Butler of Te Whānau o Rūtaia of Otūwhare, a hapu of Te Whānau a Apanui.
Here's my nanny, Nanny Kapua. Right. That's my grandmother. My grandmother, it's my father's mother, was a sister to Maraea Ngarimu. There's Nanny Maraea there, Auntie Maraea there. Here we are. There's your grandfather.
That's my grandfather.
Tell us about your grandfather.
He was the quietest man I ever knew, and you had to extract information out of him.
Hariata Paura's grandfather was one of Maraea's brothers and an uncle to Moana.
As a child, I remember going to my grandparents' home in Omaio. There was this beautiful picture in this beautiful frame that adorned the wall. And I used to look at it as a child and wonder, who is that handsome man and why is he hanging on the wall? And he must be somebody pretty important. And as I got older, my grandfather told me who he was. And I felt sad. I felt proud, but I felt sad.
As well as being kin to Moana, Hariata Paura is the immediate past president of Te Kaha RSA.
We have a pretty big shindig when it comes to Anzac, and he is at the forefront. But we also know that he was one of many, many of our whanaungas that never came home. So Anzac for us in our little RSA is a big deal.
Here today at Whakaroa Park, Ruatoria, is one of the greatest Māori assemblies of the century.
Second Lieutenant Moana-Nui-a-Kiwa's Victoria Cross was presented to his parents on October 6, 1943, before a crowd of 7,000.
Today is proof that the warrior spirit still lives.
It was 6 months since Moana was killed in action at Tebaga Gap, Tunisia. Moana was 24 when he led repeated attacks on Hill 209. His Tommy gun and even stones were his weapons. He was already twice wounded when he fell on the hill C Company referred to as Hikurangi, Ngāti Porou's sacred maunga.
It shows that leadership and that mana and that going back to their roots when they were in a foreign land, and shows the whakawhanaungatanga and the camaraderie that they had for each other and what they were prepared to do for each other, to die for each other.
This is Ngarimu, and I wish that Moana could be here to see the tribute paid to us and to all the Māori people because of what he did to win the Victoria Cross.
I watched the footage of that day and my heart went out to her as a mama. From my perspective as a mummy, it would have been quite overwhelming because suddenly your boy, your baby, has been thrust into the spotlight when all you wanted to do was bring him home. I recall hearing my grandfather talk about it was almost like an unsettledness of his tuakana, Nanny Maraea, when they received the VC, and he felt aroha for his sister.
Knowing the type of person, nature she had, she was probably wondering to herself, why just my son? When we've heard stories and we know that there were other young men that could have quite easily got VCs too.
Maraea Akuhata Butler moved to Ruatoria as a young woman.
She went to Ruatoria. She was sent to Ruatoria to work for some of the big sheep farming stations up there as a domestic for, I think, the Williams, and finds out that, hello, this big chief from Ngāti Porou wants to meet for his wife. So I thought, besides being kind and gentle and humble, she must have been beautiful too. But I must say that I think when she went to work in the household, she already had a strong foundation. She was already a strong young woman because of the way she was brought up here. She encompassed, and she enveloped all the other young mothers that had little children, babies, when their husbands or brothers or uncles went to war. So her house was always full of families and children. But one thing I loved about her legacy too was she didn't forget her people at home here. She could have stayed over there and not even come this way to see us.
Second Lieutenant Moana-Nui-a-Kiwa Ngarimu VC, son of Ngāti Porou, Te Whānau Apanui and Whakatohia, lies at SVAC's Commonwealth War Cemetery in Tunisia. He is visited often by his whanaunga from home. Mariah Rewati Akuhata Butler Ngarimu died in 1977. Records show she had received an MBE. She was so humble, some of the family I spoke with had no idea she had one.